Welcome to our new video, an introduction to Pokerstrategy Equilab. In this video, I'm going to show you some basic functions of Equilab and some more advanced functions of Equilab. So you'll probably be fine just using the basic functions for now, but you might want to use some of the advanced functions. So let me run through a few things. Let's explain the most basic stuff first. Okay, so the most basic is just to calculate preflop equity. So let's say you can key in some hands. How well is aces faring against kings? So I key in a single hand for MP2 and a single hand for MP3. Honestly, the positions don't really matter. It will be the same if I just change it. So you just click on evaluate, leave it on enumerate all. It just means that it's going to perform a mathematical calculation. So pocket aces has 82% equity in this case, and pocket kings has 18% equity. So next, we're going to calculate range versus range equity. So perhaps we can calculate aces to pocket deuces against like ace king, ace queen, king queen. So range versus range, yeah, you can see the results here. If you want to copy it as text, you can just click on copy as text, and then you can just paste it into a notepad file, a document file. I guess you can also highlight it and copy paste, but the formatting will be a bit messed up, so I prefer to use this copy as text. Copy as BB code, I think this refers to forums. Yeah, so you have all the text attached. If you are posting it in your forum blog, or if you want to share your findings with some other forum users, you can use that. Okay, so next is post-lock calculations. You can either key in the cards manually. So for example, C for clubs, S for spades, D for diamonds. So you can see how these two ranges fare on this particular flop. Yeah, so you can see that the range full of ace highs and king highs are winning by a lot, 83% equity. Alternatively, if you don't like to key in the cards manually, you can just click. And the same applies to the turn and the river. You can just calculate again. Okay, so this is very basic, I think. So you can leave all these cards in, and if you want to key in the entire board run out first, but you want to analyze the flop situation first, you can actually disable it first by clicking on this button, and then you do the calculation first. This is what we found out earlier. And if you want to start analyzing a turn, then you can just click on the checkbox. So how is this useful? If you are looking at Hold'em Manager, and you can just quickly write in the entire run out, and then so that you don't have to keep referring to the actual hand history. Yeah, so it's kind of a neat trick to know. Okay, next, keying in very complicated hand ranges. This is very basic, but what if we want to key in a huge range of hands? Okay, let's clear this first. First of all, you can actually just key in numbers. So if I want to key in the top 15% of hands, I can just click 15. I can just type in 15%. You can click on the range button. So Pokerstrategy Equilab automatically gives me the so-called top 15% of hands. Do human players really use this range as the top 15% of hands? Probably not. Personally, if I were to open a 15% range from under the gun, I will use something that has more pocket pairs and more suited connectors and suited aces. So I might use something like that. Yeah, so you can key in a number and then make slight adjustments to the actual range. You can manually select the hands yourself, and you can see it's all keyed into here. You can also count the number of combos with Pokerstrategy Equilab, which I find to be pretty useful. So in this case, there are 290 combos selected. You can actually store the ranges. So if let's say you are assuming that you are opening 15% of hands in a particular position, you can just type 15 first. So every time you want to do the same analysis, you don't have to click on the same thing because it's a bit troublesome. So you can save it here. So for example, under the gun, 15% opening range. So the next time you want to do some analysis against someone who's opening 15% of hands, you can just automatically click on this and the range will appear right away. So it's pretty useful to have all these hand ranges saved. So perhaps I want to save more ranges, like cut MP opening range 19% perhaps. MP opening range 19%. Yeah, so I have the same thing. So if I want under the gun, I click on this, 19% MP range, I click on this. Okay, what about suit selection? What if I want to select hand combos of a particular suit only? So let's assume the board texture looks something like that. Ace king with the 2 of hearts. So let me clear this with the X. And actually, if you want 100% range comprising any 2 cards, you can just click random. So I forgot to mention that earlier. Okay, so let's say we only want to select suited connectors which have a flush draw. So I click on the suit selection button and then I highlight all these suited connectors. So I want to highlight anything with 2 diamonds in them. Let's say I think this is my opponent's pre-flop range, and I want to select all possible flush draws. I click on suit selection once more, and you can see that the only hands available are on the right side because they're all suited. None of them are offsuit or pocket pairs. And I just click on diamond. So they are automatically filtered. Only diamond combinations will appear. Okay, so you can see I get all the diamonds out there. So let's say I have ace, king, or spades. I want to see how well my hand is faring against a range of diamond draws. I have 65% equity in this case. And note that even though I included ace of diamond, king of diamond into my range, all those are automatically eliminated. They are not included because of the card removal effect. So it's okay to key all these in, they will not be counted. So you can take a look at this 35.16% equity if you don't believe me. I can remove the first 2 hands and you can see that it will not change one bit because it's already taken into account. Yeah, so you can show hints over the matrix. Display card removal. So if I click on display card removal, remember all these hands which I've selected earlier, they will not be included because there is already an ace and a king of diamond on the flop. Display number of combos. So there is one combination of queen of diamond, jack of diamond, and the same applies to all the suited connectors. So what if I'm selecting every single combo? So there are 4 combos of suited hands. So you have like 9-8 of diamonds, hearts, spades, and clubs. But for king queen of diamonds, you not king queen of diamonds, but king queen suited, you only have 2 combos because the king of diamonds is already out and the king of spades is already out as mentioned earlier. So what's left is the king of hearts and the king of clubs. Yeah. Okay, so I guess that's all for the basic functions. So let's see if there are any more advanced functions. Scenario analyzer, I think this is quite a useful feature to have. So to give an example, let's say our opponent, we see bet the flop with perhaps ace queen on a ace diamond king diamond 2 heart flop. Our opponent raises us with a particular range. So let's say he's raising us with a range of sets, ace king, pocket deuces, ace king, and some flush draws, which I will try to include here. So first of all, how well are we faring? We have more than 50% equities, which means that um, we have a very easy call. I don't think it's strong enough to re-raise, but it's definitely more than enough to call. So we're going to call off ace queen, and we're going to see how various turn cards will affect our equity. So we once again open the scenario analyzer, analyze turn cards. Okay, so you can see that each bar represents our equity on a particular card, and the color represents the suit. So you can see that on a diamond we have very little equity. So on a diamond we have, okay, that's assuming we have the king of spades. So let's assume we have the queen of spades, which was what I said earlier. We have virtually no equity on a diamond. Basically, it means we are drawing dead since our opponent either beats us with a set or a two pair. On the deuce, we do have some chance to draw to a chop against ace king, so you can see we have a bit of equity here on a two of diamond. And you can see that our equity is more than 40% on the non-diamonds. So we can have a good idea on how we should play on various turn runouts. Basically, if our opponent bets on a diamond turn, we just instant mark our hand. If our opponent bets on a non-diamond, then we should have more than enough equity to continue, given that we have more than 40% equity on blank turns. So let's say we want to analyze the river now. So I can add a random turn card, and the same thing applies. So once again, on any diamond river, we are drawing dead, so we should just fold. On a blank river, assuming our opponent's range is still as wide as before, then we have a very easy call. Of course, I don't expect him to continue barreling out his bastard flush draws, so I could always remove some and just see how we are doing anyway. Yeah, so we still have like 40%. Of course, I'm just doing a very basic analysis. But yeah, this is basically how you use it. On the right side, you can actually see the actual numbers. You can just scroll up and down. So perhaps if you are getting 33% pot odds, if he's betting the pot, then you want to set your threshold at 30%, I guess. You can always adjust it. Yeah, so let's say we are facing a pot size bet. We want to be calling with all bluff catches with more than 33% equity. You can just adjust the slider and you can see how you're faring, or you can just look at this table. Yeah, so that's should be fairly standard. Hand range calculator. So where does this come in? So let's say our opponent is opening the top 50% of hands. We're trying to decide what hands we can actually call him with pre-flop. So this is where hand range calculator comes in. Let's say we set our threshold at like maybe 40%. I would only call his raise with a hand with 40% or more equity. So you just set the number here, you click calculate hand range. it will take quite a while to calculate. Okay, so take to main window, and you can see the new range here. So every single hand mentioned here has at least 40% or more equity against that 50% range which I selected earlier. So if you don't believe me, let's pick some of the weakest hands mentioned here, like Jack 8 off and 10-9 off. Let's see. Jack 8 off should have about 41% equity. Yeah. 10-9 off, maybe 41, 42. Yeah. What about 10-8 off? That barely missed the mark, maybe 39%. Yeah. So I think it managed to sieve out all the hands with 40% or more equity. Okay, so we have enumerate all and Monte Carlo. So Monte Carlo basically means that you are just running a lot of sims. You're not actually doing the actual calculation. So let me show you some examples. If we have a very wide range here, it's still possible to calculate. But if it's three-way, it will take way too long to calculate. So it's extremely slow. After waiting for so many seconds, it's still at 0%. So if you want to get more accurate results, you want not accurate, but you want to have faster results, use Monte Carlo sims. This is most applicable for multi-way simulations. So you can see you'll just keep running multiple games. And the longer you leave this running, the more accurate it will be. But after a while, you'll see that the numbers will start to stabilize. Yeah, so after a few million hands, I guess you can just stop. So this is the equities of these various preflop ranges. Okay, so I guess that's about it for this video. I have covered most of the functions, and that's probably all you need to know for Equilab. So do leave your comments in the comment section below and let me know what you think. So this is Galvin signing off. Good luck at the tables and see you next time.